Okay, this video here, you need to simplify, but you're going to see negative exponents. So you have 3a to the negative first. So underline the expression. If you don't see a division line, you make your own. Just everything's going to be on top. Your bottom's not going to be empty to start with. So you have two factors, 3 and a. 3 is to the first. It's not in parentheses, so I just put a first. And then a negative 1. Now, if it has a positive exponent, you come over here to this second line. You need 3 lines, okay? 3 steps here. You keep the 3 like it is, 3 to the first. Then on the a, that's a negative. You need to write OPP for opposite. Well, then the a is going to go to the opposite side of the line, because then its exponent can be a positive. Then on top, 3 to the first can be simplified. That's 3. A to the first cannot. It's just a to the first. Okay, next problem. You have a division line. On top, you have 16. On the bottom, you have 4a to the negative fourth. Negative fourth is an exponent. So I make 3 lines. So on top, you have one factor of 16. On bottom, you have 4 times a. Okay. So 16 is to the first. I don't see a parenthesis, so I just write the exponents that it originally has. Then 4 to the 1, negative 4. So that's positive. We just bring that over. That's positive. You bring that over where it is, but this is negative. You got to go opposite on that. So what's the opposite of the bottom? The top. So you bring a to the top so that its power can go positive. Then on top, 16 to the first would just be 16 times the a to the fourth. Bottom, 4 to the first is just 4. Okay. So you have 16 times a to the fourth over 4. Next problem, we have 6 to the negative third power. Make 3 lines. Underline the expression. Okay. So we just had the one factor of the 6, negative 3, not hard there. This is negative. You need to make it into the opposite by bringing the 6 to the opposite side of the line and making its exponent positive. Now, when I get to this line, if we don't have a top, we don't have anything to put on top, we put a 1. And then 6 to the third, I simplify by taking 6 times 6 times 6, and that's 216. So this becomes 216. It's like 6 to the third, but instead of, when it's a negative third, the 1's going to be over it. Okay, next problem, we have a division line. On top, we have 4 to the negative third over x. So the factors we have is 4 and x. Okay, so 4 is to the negative third. Okay, don't put a 1 there. It's already to the negative third. There's no parentheses there. And then x is to the first. It needs an exponent. Okay, that's negative. You got to move it to the opposite side. So 4 goes to the opposite side, and then the negative 3 goes to a positive 3. This is positive. It does not go opposite. You just put it where it's at. Okay? It stays where it is if it's opposite. It stays on the side it's on already. Okay, then I cover top with a 1, 4 to the third, 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Times x to the 1. Now some of you are like, okay, never mind. Okay, next one, 5 to the negative third power. Negative 3. Only factor you got is a 5. It's a negative third. It's negative, so it's got to become opposite. So you move it to the other side of the line where it goes 5 to the third. So I have a 1, 5 to the third is 5 times 5 times 5, and that's 125. 1 over 125. Next one's a little bit more complicated. You have a division line. On top you have 4 with a to the negative fourth, and on bottom you have 2c. So on top we have 5 times a. Those are your two factors on top. On bottom you have 2 times c. Now what are these exponents? Well, 5's to the 1, so I put a 1 down. No, you don't need to do inside outside multiplication. There's no parentheses. A's a negative fourth, and then C's a 1, or 2's a 1, my bad, and C's a 1 as well. Now, look at your top first. Positive or negative? Positive, keep it where it is. Positive or negative? It's negative. You got to bring it to the A, goes to the opposite side, and it's negative 4 changes into a positive 4. Okay, is that negative or positive? It's positive, keep it where it is. Is that negative or positive? Positive, keep it where it is. Okay, so the only thing that changed was that one. These other ones stayed the same. Okay, on top, 5 to the first is 5. On bottom, you got a to the fourth, 2 to the first, c to the first. We can simplify 2 to the first, that's 2. Okay, a to the fourth, and then c to the first trail. There's your answer. Okay, next one. We have 8x to the third, y to the negative fifth. So I underline it. Third, negative fifth. That'd be a 1. So factors, you got 8 times x times y. So 1, 3, negative 5. Okay. Okay, positive, that stays where it's at. Positive, that stays where it's at. That's negative, you need to move it to the opposite side. Okay, goes positive. So 8 to the first, you can simplify 8 to the first, that's just 8. X to the third trails, and then y to the fifth. They're simplified. Okay, next problem. We have a division line. On top we have 11x, y to the negative first. Underneath you got y to the negative third. So on top you got 11 times x times y. The negative one's an exponent. Okay. And on bottom you have a y. Now you can put a y on top, bottom, you just don't put it twice on the same side. 11 to the 1, no parentheses, it's to the 1. X to the 1, no parentheses, it's to the 1. And then y to the negative 1. Y to the negative 3. Now, you have a y on top and on bottom. When that happens, you need to cross out the one with the lower exponent and subtract it from the one on the other side. See, right here, I couldn't do that because there wasn't a 2 on top, there wasn't a c on top, but now I have a y on bottom, which I have the same thing on top. So negative 3, negative 1. Negative 3 is smaller than negative 1. When you have two negatives, the more extreme negative is your smaller. And then you put minus parentheses negative 3. So instead of minus 3, it's minus negative 3. Well, minus negative goes plus plus. Don't make that 1 plus negative. That's stupid. Okay, just do that second one. So negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Okay, now, so what we have, positive stays where it's at, positive stays where it's at, positive stays where it's at, and then that one we can simplify, that's 11. And then the times x to the first and y to the second trail. Okay, next problem. 1 over m to the negative 6th power. 1 divided by m to the negative 6. So on top you just got a 1, on bottom you got an m. So it's 1 to the 1, m to the negative 6. It's positive, keep it where it's at. Negative, it's got to go to the opposite side. So times m to the positive 6th. 1 to the first is 1, and then m to the 6th. Next one, 4a to the second, b to the negative second, c to the third. So you underline it, everything starts on the top, so you got 4 times a times b times c. So 4 to the first, okay. So I put a 1. I don't need to multiply any of this because it's in none of it's in parentheses. There's no parentheses. Then a, this is my only a factor. It has a 2. This is my only b factor. It has a negative 2. This is my only c. It has a 3. That's positive. Keep it where it's at. That's positive. Keep it where it's at. That's negative, make it opposite by moving it to the bottom, and its exponent changes it to a positive. Positive, keep it where it's at. Okay, on top, 4 to the first simplifies to 4. Bottom, that would stay b to the second. So 4 times a to the second times c to the third over b to the second. Okay, 3 to the negative third. Negative third. So the only factor you got is a 3. It's just a negative 3. Okay. Well, it's negative. You got to make it opposite, so it goes to the other side. The negative 3 goes to a positive 3. Now, you need something on top in the final answer. You put a 1. 3 to the third then would be 27. So 1/27. Okay, next one, this is the same as what's happening here. 6 to the negative 4th power. So the only factor we have is a 6. It's to the negative 4th. It's negative, you got to make it opposite. It goes to the bottom, becomes 4. 1 over it. So 6 to the 4th, 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, that equals 1,296. Okay, next one, we have 18, x to the negative third, y to the 4th. Okay, so you have 18 times x times y. Remember, these are times operators. 18's to the 1, again, no parentheses, so they'll all just maintain their original exponent. Okay, positive, keep it where it's at. Negative, make it opposite by switching it to the bottom, and then the negative 3 exponent becomes a 3. Positive, keep it where it's at. Okay, 18 to the first can be simplified. That's 18. That's simplified. 18 times y to the 4th over x to the 3rd. Okay, next one, 4x to the negative 7th power times 6y to the negative 3rd power. So my factors are 4 times x times 6 times y. So we have 4 times x, 6, and y, one of each. Okay. Okay, so 4 is to the first, not in parentheses, so it's to the first. None of this is in parentheses, so we can just put the exponents that are originally there. We insert a couple of first powers. Negative 3. Okay. 4 to the first is positive. You keep it where it's at. X has a negative exponent. That's got to go opposite, so you move the x to the bottom with a 7. 6 to the first, keep it where it's at. Y to the negative 3rd, opposite. Okay, 4 to the first and 6 to the first can be simplified. Both of them can be. That'd be a 4, that'd be a 6. So it's just 4 times 6, and you need to multiply those. 24. Okay, and then the variables down in the bottom you can't simplify. These do not trail because they're on bottom, they just go on bottom. So 24 over x to the 7th times y to the 3rd. Next one, 14y to the negative 4th power. Negative 4th is to the y, okay. So on top you just have 14 times y, so it's 14 is to the 1st, implied 1, so 1st and negative 4. That's positive, keep it where it's at. That's negative, move it to the bottom so that its exponent's positive. And 14 to the 1st is just 14. And then on bottom you have y to the 4th. Okay, next problem, we have a division line in the original, 2 to the negative 2nd power, and then 9 to the negative 2nd power. So on top you have a 2 factor, on bottom you have a 9 factor. They both have negative 2nd powers. So that's a negative, you got to make it opposite, so you bring the 2 to the bottom, and then its exponent then becomes a positive 2. That's negative, you have to go opposite on that. So if it's on bottom, to make it opposite, you move it to the top, and then its 2 becomes positive. That's why I write opposite, it's got to go to the opposite side of the line. So 9 to the 2nd gets simplified, 9 times 9, that's 81. On the bottom, 2 to the 2nd gets simplified, 2 times 2 is 4. So it's 81 fourths.